Pisces, welcome to your general Tarotscope for the first half of November, ending on the 14th of the month. And that is when we have a full moon in Taurus. And Taurus is your third house. So the third house is like the internet and, you know, all kinds of communications. The house ruled by Mercury, by Gemini. And, I mean, that's the universal ruler. In your case, your third house is actually Taurus, and so this could mean that you find out something very interesting on the internet that kind of is a revelation of some sort. Maybe you will end some kind of a project that you've been doing online or some kind of communications. Maybe you'll end a blog, but there could be some kind of a thing. Who knows? Maybe you have a blog and it just suddenly takes off. I mean, that's always a possibility. Blows up, as they say. So that's one transit that's happening. That's kind of more on the mental level. We're going to have before that, actually, late on the 7th into the 8th. We're going to have, late on the 8th into the 9th, we're going to have a transit of Mars going into Aquarius. And Aquarius is actually your 12th house. So that means up until that point, you've had Mars in the 11th house. So hopefully you haven't had any kind of issues with friendship, any kind of friendship issues, any kind of arguments, any kind of conflicts with a group. Or just, you know, maybe you were very, very aggressively involved. In America, we have politics. I associate the 11th house with politics. It's dealing with the collective, and on the highest level, it's supposed to be a humanitarian kind of an endeavor. And it's going into rebellious Aquarius right around the U.S. election that night. So if you have been involved in any kind of issues with politics or kind of protest marches or something like that, that's kind of like on the tail end of that, kind of culminating on the night of the election. But you know, it's in Aquarius, so for all of us who live in America, we're going to have this revolutionary energy for a bit. And the fact that it's occurring right after the presidential election is very interesting indeed. Let's see, what other transits are happening for you? And these are just for the first couple of weeks. So it's going to be, things are not necessarily happening all the time. You do have Mercury going into Sagittarius on the 12th, and this will be in your 10th house of career. So you've had it in your 9th house, Mercury. And that means that you may have been doing a lot of communicating involving something with traveling. Maybe you're making arrangements to travel. Maybe you're trying to research some kind of educational course. This would be at the higher educational levels, like the university levels, and you're just trying to get that all, squared away. And maybe it has to do with something related to your spiritual beliefs. But then on the 12th, it's going to go into your 10th house of career. So then you're going to be talking to people. If you're looking for a job, you might be going back and forth with people involving a potential career. What was that transit I wanted to talk about? Hopefully you're still watching, because I get people who just like click off, thinking it's just going to be me, this blank screen like this. I am going to be pulling cards in 1 second. But you do have Venus going into Capricorn on 11/11. I always love that date. Have you been seeing 11/11s for the last several years? I sure have. Or I see 1/11. It's just par for the course now. It's always happening. But on 11/11, we're going to have Venus in Capricorn. Capricorn is your 11th house, okay? So this is really great for I think it could be a great money situation, because the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes and friendships and groups, But with hopes and wishes, it can actually be a very lucky house for you to manifest money to be able to do the thing that you dreamed of doing. So that's like very lovely energy. Okay. Just put these a little far apart. I don't know if you can see this. This is a Judgment card. Wow, I got that card in the same position for another sign. And you know, I just want to say really quickly, you know, I've been getting a lot of major arcana cards. In this reading, we have the Hermit and Judgment card. Okay, well, that's not too shabby, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like half of the cards being major arcana cards. And I do feel like there are a lot of shifts happening based on that alone. But then I'm getting this Six of Cups a lot. And I even got it in a private reading, I think. So it's, you know, a card of nostalgia. So I feel like, you know, a lot of us are looking to simplify our lives. And that is actually a very good thing, I think. Okay. And this is even a card I feel of simplicity too. The Hermit card is associated with Virgo. So this could literally be a Virgo person, your opposite sign, who is playing a part in the first part of the month. But surely this could be you. Surely this is something that you have a tendency to do in your sleep, which is to be someone who reflects. As a water sign, you are passive, you are receptive to, you know, the external stimuli. You take that and you kind of process it. You know, just by virtue of being a water sign. But a Pisces, you know, that could be something that, you know, is just how you are. And let me just, you know, talk about what's happening to see where this is going. I was going to say, now, if this is in the reverse position, I'd say this is the female boss from hell. But even in the upright position, this can be a woman who is very like sharp. She might be very intelligent, but she's also very cutting in her words. She may have caused you to retreat. She could be literally an air sign, so she could be someone who is a whatchamacallit, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But it could be, you know, you could be dealing with somebody who is maybe you're dealing with somebody who's any sign, like an earth sign. I just said Virgo because I was thinking of the Hermit card, but that has a Libra rising, for instance, and they have that tendency to showcase that part of themselves. But whatever it is, I mean, really, it's not really important. It's that quality that I'm talking about that is causing you to think about them. To feel, I feel though, you know, this is not a bad thing in and of itself, the Queen of Swords, because, you know, there's nothing wrong with being somebody who is really on point in terms of the way that you talk and the way that you think and being very like concise. There's nothing wrong with that, but for some reason that has caused you to retreat and become a monk or a hermit. This could be a boss. This could be a boss because it could be somebody in authority. But what I'm seeing is that there's some kind of deception, and it could be or deceit going on. This could be more than one person. You see, that there are people that they could be behind your back, and this could be verbal assaults where they are slandering. So I'm thinking of a workplace, and there might have been the boss might have been on their side, and that might have led you to kind of maybe even just leave that situation. But it's not necessarily leaving physically. Maybe you're kind of retreating into yourself, and that's fine. Because sometimes, and I've said this before, I mean, I just personally believe in these workplace situations, if this is what's happening, that sometimes it's much better to keep your distance, since this is not your private life. You don't want to mix the two, maybe. And so if you have to kind of, if you're looking for a new job and it's pretty much unbearable where you're working, and you don't trust the people around you, you think they're snakes, then just kind of keep your own counsel. Don't tell people you're looking for other work. Don't trust them if you feel that they've betrayed you, for sure. Someone may, I'm thinking of you as a Pisces. Someone may, befriend you and act like they are your best friend, and they're just trying to ferret information out of you. And I don't like saying those kind of things, because I do believe in trusting people, but at the same time, that card really speaks to like backbiting, and that happens in the work environment because people are so cutthroat, dog eat dog. Okay, I'm going to get mine. I don't care if I have to, lie, cheat, and steal to get what I want. That kind of a mentality is not the place that's going to be comfortable for a Pisces person. You're a very sensitive individual. You want to get along with other people. You don't want to fight them. And you certainly don't want to be talked about behind your back and lied about. Nobody wants that. Okay, so what else is happening? I'm debating on what to... Oh, well, I'll do this one because this is the higher message and all this. This is the Queen of Wands. It's funny because we have two queens here. Queens can also relate to mothers. So, it's what I was thinking about too is a mother-in-law situation. Where you have a mother-in-law who tells it like it is, but maybe her child is doing something behind your back. I feel though that the Queen of Wands is, I think this is something that you need to adopt, to be honest with you, and this is why it's the spiritual message. It's not like this practical message. It's more of a spiritual message, but I think it can benefit you practically. Pisces people sometimes, especially if they go through something that is negative, they tend to hold on to that pessimistic attitude. It's not, I don't know if pessimism is the right word. It's a fearful attitude because sometimes there's a feeling of learned helplessness. And this is because, Pisces people, or people with a prominent Pisces, this is like Peter picked a peck of pickles. People with a prominent Pisces, the tongue twister. So it could even be if you're watching your rising sign, the moon. I never tell people to actually do it, even though it would increase my views 2 or 3 times, right? But I don't do that because it's not astrology. So it doesn't, the rising sign tends to be for your, your transits and all that stuff. So how does that work with the tarot? I get people asking me that, and I've looked at other people's readings for my rising sign, and sometimes it does seem like it works. So who knows, I don't know. But if you're watching for your rising sign, you may agree with me that you may have had a lot of challenges growing up. And so, because it seems like Pisces, it's the last sign of the zodiac. It tends to be an old soul, and old souls tend to go through a lot of things. And if that's the case, what can happen is that you develop this kind of either learned helplessness or you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So this is a card. This Queen of Wands is an energy of somebody who is very positive, you know, a proactive person, but who has a very cheerful nature, not a fearful nature, a cheerful one. And so you see she's holding the sunflower, or she's got a sunflower. Yeah, she's holding it. This is associated with fire signs, okay? Maybe there's a fire sign person who's a good influence on you that you need to really call upon. Maybe you've been neglecting this person. This would be an Aries, Leo, Sag. Maybe you're having problems with air signs, or one air sign in particular. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And that is really the person who's going to help you in some way. It doesn't have to be just love. It could be in business. And that you need to seek them out. And we even, well, let me talk about what crosses you. I read this as a Judgment in Reverse card. So this is about, you know, the Judgment card is about going through the fire and, like, you know, cause and effect. But in the reverse position, there is some kind of that you can't go. The cycle is not being completed, or I don't mean completed because that's not the last card of the major arcana. Somehow maybe there's some kind of injustice. Maybe the judgment. I shouldn't say injustice. I mean, in terms of the judgment. Well, it could be. It could be unfairness. It could be unfairness. Like you're getting treated unfairly in some kind of maybe it's a legal case. Maybe if you are going through any kind of arbitration at work, you feel like the deck is stacked against you, or maybe even in your personal life if you're going through a divorce. But I think more this is about not having good judgment. And this is something, again, that I do see sometimes with your sign. Not picking on Pisces, you know. I try to be very forthright about every sign. And the reason that I point out some of the more challenging aspects is because that's where the change comes in. If I just said, "Oh, you guys are so great," blah blah blah, that's nothing. I mean, you know, I might flatter you for 2 seconds, but if I can get you to look at something that might be an issue, I think that's far better for bettering your life. If, you know, sometimes Pisces individuals are very idealistic. You know, you're ruled by Neptune, which is all about the fantasy version of reality. So there's idealism there, but it's not necessarily what is happening. And so it can be the person who simply sees what they want to see, and they don't see the truth of the situation. The truth is distorted with their own emotional desires too. So that's why that is such an important thing to really look at and to rectify. If you are in a situation, it doesn't matter what type of situation, make sure that you see things as they are, and you can, you know, go forward, because there may be some area that's being blocked because you're not seeing it as it is. The advice is the Two of Wands, so this is about choice. Should I stay? Should I go? It could be like for a work situation. It doesn't have to be like moving across the country or across the world. It could be in a job. Maybe you're still in that job and you're still surrounded by snakes, and it's like, okay, can I do this? You know, I don't know if I can tolerate this, but what is there? What else is there out? What else is out there for me? So it's that clinging to safety, clinging to the known, that may be kind of tempting you. Obviously, you don't want to do something that's totally crazy. But on the other hand, sometimes you really don't have a choice. Sometimes circumstances around you force your hand. And, you know, people can get physically ill if they're in an environment that's very, very toxic. Whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a job that's just like sucking the soul out of somebody. So you have to kind of decide what is appropriate for your life. The outcome is the Six of Cups. This is a card of, as I said, it's a card of innocence. It's a Cups card, so it's associated with all the water signs. This could be you reuniting with somebody from your past, as I said for another sign, that it could be that there's somebody who is, part of your fond memories. This is a card of nostalgia, a high school sweetheart, the one that got away. And maybe you've always been wondering whatever happened to that person. Maybe you will reunite with that person. But at the very least, this card is about simplifying, enjoying simple pleasures in life, seeing what's important in life, and what is of value, especially when it comes to how it affects you emotionally. Because this person is somebody who is very mentally on point, mentally agile, very concise, but there's not necessarily that emotional component. I mean, it's a lot more than the King of Swords, because the Queen is a feminine energy, so it's going to have, actually, to tell you the truth, the Queen of Swords could be you becoming much more detached from a toxic situation. So all this time I was acting like it's something that was maybe problematic, and maybe it was just a sign that you were getting very good, that you're getting clarity, and maybe you realize, I have to check in with myself more. I need to really, I have this innate psychic ability, and I need to use it instead of allowing it to totally mislead me, because, that's why I'm saying I think Pisces is the most psychic sign, but sometimes the very people who are the most psychically sensitive can be the most deluded, because they're not approaching things rationally. And so this is a good combination of the rational and the more intuitive. So that's very good. So I do think that maybe some of you are getting back to basics and, really trying to find relationships, whether it's business relationships or romantic, which are more on the emotional level, where there's mutual respect and things like that. So Pisces, I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below this video. Otherwise, have a great first half of November. Bye.